I don't think the majority of Americans realize that this even occurred. We were told, you don't talk about this kind of stuff.
I said, something's wrong. My chest feels like it's splitting open.
I am trying my best to make sure that somebody listens to me.
Here's at least one person that was not going to shut up and die.
It was just something that I just didn't talk about, even with my kids. I entered the Air Force in September of 1960, and I was then transferred to Morón Air Base in southern Spain.
Wife and I were transferred to Morón, Spain in '62. We're very happy there.
The experience with the Air Force, I had it made.
There's nobody shooting at us. This isn't Vietnam.
Overall, I have to say the Air Force is a great way of life. But there were things that happened down there that I would just soon forget about. On the morning of January 17th, 1966, I had reported for work at Morón Air Base. I received a telephone call that I was needed down at the base command post.
There was an aircraft accident involving nuclear weapons.
The B-52 and the KC-135 were refueling, and they crashed. And there were 4 bombs aboard the B-52.
I was the first responder. When I arrived there, I merely had the clothes on my back because of the amount of wreckage that was strewn over such a large area and the fact that there were nuclear weapons involved. We knew it was going to be a large-scale operation.
We loaded up on the buses, and pretty soon we were all headed south.
First of all, we couldn't find a stinking place. There was no highway into that village. The people that came with us, they weren't trained in this.
You didn't know where you were going?
I didn't know what we was doing. We was going to a plane crash.
And I remember a couple of the officers holding up a map and talking about heavy radiation.
It was theorized that there was this stuff that you can't see floating around across the valley.
But we weren't told there was radiation. That was something I never would have thought of.
The first weapon we located was just off the beach, and we were told that there was another weapon in one of the local residents' backyards.
And so we combed the area looking for a bomb, stick one arm out, touch the next guy's shoulder, then spread out a little further.
None of us were issued any protective clothing. We had no respiratory equipment. I would say it was around midday that we had plotted the location of the weapons. We knew exactly where they were.
When we found that bomb, it looked like sort of powder or flour at the end of it.
There were 55-gallon drums that were brought to the area, and then we were using shovels to put the soil into the barrels.
Work process was on 24 hours a day, night and day.
And it's just drum after drum, and it just goes on for, and I'm going, holy cow. I don't know. It just makes me wonder.
And as we were exiting the field, there was a guy standing there with this Geiger counter. He said, you got radiation on you. The only way to get it off is to go in the ocean and let the salt water wash it off your clothes.
And I had to scrub myself to, look like a lobster. This is not good. But these people, they're the technicians, they're the experts, they know what they're doing. I'm going to do what they tell me to do. We had been told that a lot of the local residents were reluctant or refused to eat their own fruits and vegetables for fear that they were contaminated with radiation.
Well, it would have been an absolute sin to put those tomatoes in a landfill and just drive trucks over them. So we ate tomatoes, and we were filmed eating tomatoes. And we had tomatoes for breakfast, noon, and night.
They told us to eat them tomatoes where the Spaniards could see that there wasn't nothing wrong with them.
Oh God, they were good tomatoes.
I was commander of the Radiological Health Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We knew there was an accident, and when it became obvious that there was plutonium involved, I felt that we were going to have to tool up and do some long-term analysis. I made the recommendations and forwarded it to my bosses, and it was up to them to say yay or nay, and the nays won out.
I noticed a lump in my testy. It was cancerous. I was 28 years old at that time.
I got a cancer tumor in my bladder in 1979.
I retired in '81, and all of a sudden, and 2 years later, I have this blood disorder.
And then when Nolan was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and there was no history of cancer at all in his family, then I started doing research on this. This has been over 50 years, and no one has ever acknowledged the fact there could have been a danger to the 1,600 responders to the accident. I want the Air Force to acknowledge the possibility that these responders could have been exposed to dangerous levels of radiation.
You know, I think it's very unusual for a person to go through the different health issues that I've had. So I decided I'm going to the VA and file a claim because I was exposed to the radiation there. And I got a denial back.
They had no record of me being exposed to any radiation.
And I went through carefully looking for something about me being in Palomares. Nothing was there.
There's a period of time in my medical records where documentation is missing. It's not there.
Why did my Air Force, our Air Force, deny existence? The records were there.
After 5.5 years of research and everything I've gone through and all the ups and downs, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that the Air Force is trying to cover this up. They're waiting for these guys to die. The Air Force that he cared so much about, he's finding out they didn't care that much about him.
I think we should have followed up. There's a tendency, not only in the military, but in any human endeavor, if you don't recognize a problem or pay attention to it, it may just wither away.
I'm not looking for financial gain. I'm looking for an acceptance of maybe responsibility.
We don't exist. We were not supposed to be talking about this. But I want you to understand, if I have something to share and I die before it comes out, I failed.